This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all of your real estate needs. Coming up next on NEA Report, a busy news day to review, including full details on the Caraway standoff that took place on the holiday yesterday that involved an officer being hit in the head after a shotgun was fired in his direction. It was a standoff with an exchange of gunfire and arrest. Full details coming up. Plus, a school bus wreck that happened in Hoxie today. Injured 7 students. Apparently one was airlifted as well. 2 others injured. A full report coming up. And an anti-discrimination resolution is planned for the city of Jonesboro. So what will that mean for average businesses? Nothing. But what will it mean for our community? Well, we'll talk about that next on NEA Report.
Reporting.
It was supposed to be a federal holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but unfortunately it ended up being a very busy night for many government employees of the law enforcement type who ended up responding near Caraway, where a man was reported to have put a gun to someone's head and fired at a house. When officers responded and arrived, they met the man who fired a shotgun at them. He actually hit one of the officers in the head. Incredible, but thankfully the officer is okay. Thankfully also the suspect okay. They took him into custody after a 2-hour standoff. The man surrendered. We'll tell you all about this story right now. We got the probable cause affidavit not very long ago. Also some exclusive statements from the prosecutor about the charges he's going to seek. Eugene Collins is accused of attempting to murder law enforcement officers, and now he's going to face 2 attempted capital murder charges in addition to multiple counts of aggravated assault. Those are all felonies, very serious ones too. So here's what happened. On Monday, it started around 4:30 p.m. according to the probable cause affidavit. It says that he threatened, allegedly, to kill 7 people inside of a residence at the 2200 block of Craighead County Road 847. The report states that he is alleged to put a gun to one of the victims' head. That's aggravated assault. You cannot do that, even if you don't pull the trigger, which most of us know, but some people apparently still don't. He threatened to kill him before the victim left the scene. Witness accounts say he then fired several rounds into the area of the residence, which was still occupied. It didn't really specify if they hit the residence or not, but he apparently fired at the residence or around it. Around this time, Craighead County Deputy Logan Dotson and Caraway Police Chief Shannon Kellums were the first law enforcement officers to get there. Collins was in a white Ford truck at the residence, apparently still there when they arrived, right? So still a very tense situation. But he began to drive through a field nearby when he saw him. But he ended up getting stuck on some barrels in the field. Officers had their guns out, I'm sure. We're talking about what would be a felony traffic stop, at least under the conditions of it. And so they told him to put his hands up, but instead he refused. According to the affidavit, he retrieved a 12-gauge shotgun from inside of his truck and fired at the officers. First, he fired at Dotson. And he actually struck his patrol unit, but he also struck Dotson in the head. Dotson didn't think he had been hit at first, from what I was told. He thought perhaps a piece of glass had come off of the vehicle, but it ended up being a pellet from the shotgun. I guess maybe it was birdshot. I don't know. Chief Kellum's vehicle was shot and damaged severely as Collins continued to fire, attempting to shoot Kellums himself, according to the affidavit. Dotson then returned fire until Collins stopped shooting at law enforcement. Thankfully, things settled down from there. There was about a 2-hour standoff, and then the man turned himself in, Collins, which we've shown you his photo a couple of times there. Now, I talked to prosecuting attorney Scott Ellington, who's not a big fan of people trying to attack law enforcement. And he told me that he has requested a high bond amount, which was granted today, $5 million for Collins, who's in Craighead County Detention Center right now. Ellington told me he plans to charge the suspect with 2 counts of attempted capital murder, 7 counts of aggravated assault, all for the incident that took place outside of Caraway Monday. A scary day in Hoxie today. 7 students injured, along with a driver and the driver of a semi-truck after a dump truck reportedly hit a school bus there. And we've got a photo to show you here in a second. It's incredible, really, to look at. Very scary as well. We received a statement from the law firm Mixon and Worsham PLC. They represent the school. They said that a Hoxie School District school bus was rear-ended by a vehicle this afternoon. 7 students, the driver, injured in the accident and currently receiving medical attention. All individuals were awake and alert when they received medical attention from the scene, being transported from the scene of the accident. The statement finishes saying that the district will disclose further info once they figure it out and it becomes available. So, Region 8 News actually reported one child was airlifted to Memphis in unknown condition due to the accident, also reporting that the bus flipped over in a ditch, which you can see in the photo there from the Times-Dispatch. Region 8 News reported several other vehicles were involved in the accident. Of course, we know at least two were. A lot of first responders responding to the scene. Basically, the most nightmarish kind of call you can get is a school bus involved in an accident. As mentioned, 9 total injuries is what it's believed to be right now. 7 children involved in that accident, and we hope that they're all okay tonight. Hope they're all recovering emotionally, too, from what was probably a very scary day. A local advocate for the LGBTQ+ community and the leader of the NEA Pride Group plans to introduce an anti-discrimination resolution for the city of Jonesboro. This would affect the city itself's government. It wouldn't affect private businesses. But it's Yesenia Hernandez, and she believes that gender identity and sexual orientation should be something that is protected. No matter what, she thinks that you should be provided equal employment opportunities by our city, regardless of your gender identity or sexual orientation. She said that's just a basic civil right we should all have, in a story that's exclusive to NEAreport.com today. And she actually brought up how that some of the Team Jonesboro effort had brought up how, in its own way, that college students were leaving, a brain drain existing, this being an area that's having difficulty finding young and excited thinkers, right? And so she said one of those reasons is that Jonesboro needs to move ahead with the times, and having an anti-discrimination law could be a basic thing we have in Jonesboro that helps to do that. Her plan is to introduce a resolution to amend the City of Jonesboro's Employee Handbook on February 18th at the Jonesboro City Council meeting. The resolution would ensure employment opportunities to protect gender identity and sexual orientation against discrimination. Not just hiring we're talking about here, promotions, raises, contracts perhaps being awarded by the government. She said the resolution was introduced in 2015 by Ryan Carter, but apparently wasn't done the right way, and it didn't get seconded or voted for, or voted rather passed. But it's the exact same resolution as then. So she intends to ask several organizations for support. Of those organizations include NEA Pride, the group she leads, but she said that the group itself has to vote to support it. She says she has no doubt that will happen. She's going to make this resolution happen, present it whether or not that takes place, but she believes NEA Pride will be the group that introduces the resolution. So we did a little research. The Human Rights Campaign did a 2019 Municipality Equality Index scorecard. It rates all communities and municipalities and counties and the state itself. And Jonesboro didn't do too well. 0 out of 100 on that. In fact, we've put it online, NEAreport.com. If you want to go look at the link, highly recommended that you check it out. It relates to non-discrimination laws, i.e. allowing people to tell people we're not going to rent to you in the city because you're gay, for example. That could happen right now. Horrible to think about, but it could. The municipality is an employer offering protections, benefits to LGBTQ employees or businesses, services that include constituents in the LGBTQ community. And that includes not just including them, but letting them know that they're including advocates and others to be in touch with them in the community. Law enforcement, fair reporting of hate crimes, which is apparently not done at all here. I didn't know that till today. Also, LGBTQ engagement by law enforcement. I guess it's suggested that departments have an LGBTQ advocate or liaison, perhaps. Doesn't necessarily mean that's their full-time job, just something that they do in addition to everything else. It's a good idea. Leadership by the city also to include the LGBTQ community. These are the 5 things that we were scored on. We got a 0 on all those. Yesenia believes it's time for the city to protect people in the LGBTQ community. It's not about hiring practices alone, she said, as I talked about a second ago, promotions, people getting fired for gender identity or sexual orientation. She said, we just want the same protections for the LGBTQ community as any other protected group. And it's not about special treatment, she said. It's about equal treatment. It's about people being treated just the same as anybody else. But that's still tough for many. So here's the resolution itself to amend the City of Jonesboro's Employee Handbook. It's pretty straightforward. It has to do with recruiting, hiring, training, promoting for all jobs. That means no matter what, no matter the beliefs, there you go. You're in. And we can't discriminate against you because of that. Also means if they don't want to hire somebody based on a reason that has nothing to do with that, they can, right? Decisions on employment based solely on the individual's qualifications for the position being filled. Imagine that, right? Can't we all agree that that's pretty easy to get behind? Well, we can't if you've looked at the comments. Anyway, any promotional decisions will be based solely on the individual's qualifications as related to requirements of the position for which the individual being considered. We're talking about personnel actions. We're talking about human resources policies and things of that nature. It's the first step. There's a long way for us to get this right in the city of Jonesboro if we want to have a community that is considered inclusive for the LGBTQ community, sub-community, I guess, and we need to consider that, right? Because you can't just have a community that caters to one side. Some people, you see jokes online, the memes, the billboards that say, Texas, for instance, says, all liberals leave the state. Yeah, that's goofy and funny, but you can't really be like that. We all, despite of our differences, are in this together. The hope is, by Yesenia Hernandez, that the city will adopt that stance officially. There's going to be a question about that, perhaps a large debate about that as well. We'll be following this story with great interest over the next month or so. I'm not going to spend too much time on this today, but I wanted to give everybody an update about the Crystal Burger Company because they filed for Chapter 11. There was a big story going around about that yesterday too. But everybody here just wants to know one thing. Is that going to affect our Crystal Burgers in Jonesboro? Because, of course, you all remember we're going to get a Crystal eventually. No, says Josh Brown. I talked to him today. He said that we are still going to get a Crystal Burger. Location's not revealed yet, but we're going to keep an eye out for that, and we'll let you know when that happens. Thanks for watching today on NEA Report. Very busy news day across Northeast Arkansas. There's always more news for supporters, by the way. News we can't get to here on the show or on the website, you can find in summary form for supporters for only 99 cents a month. It also helps to make sure you have another local news outlet here in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. I'm Stan Morris, and you're up to date from NEA Report, and I genuinely hope you have a great night.